Billionaire fired 25 nannies in 1 month, unaware the new black nanny will do something unexpected. Have you ever heard of a man so rich that he could buy anything he wanted, but still couldn't buy peace in his own house? That was the life of Michael Hartman, a billionaire who had everything, except control over his 2 little boys. In just 1 month, Michael fired not 1, not 5, but 25 nannies. Yes, 25. Every single one of them left his mansion running, never looking back. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly was going on inside that mansion? Were the kids so bad that nobody could handle them? Or was it the billionaire himself who was impossible to work for? Stay with me, because this story is about more than spoiled children and a rich man's pride. It's about heartbreak, patience, love, and the unexpected power of one woman who walked into that mansion when everyone else ran away. And let me tell you, what she did shocked the billionaire and changed his life forever. Before we dive deep, let me ask you, would you stay in a house where 25 people before you had quit? Or would you also run away? Comment your answer below. I'd love to know what you think. Now, let's go back to the beginning to understand how this whole drama started. Michael Hartman was not your average man. He was tall, always in a suit, with sharp eyes that made people nervous in business meetings. He owned one of the biggest tech companies in America. Reporters wrote about him, magazines praised him, and other businessmen feared him. But behind all that power and money was a lonely man. His wife, Heather, had left him a few months earlier. She walked out without warning, leaving him with their twin boys, Owen and Eli. The twins were only 9 years old, but already, they carried so much anger inside them. They didn't understand why their mom left, and instead of crying quietly, they turned that pain into mischief. They broke expensive vases, threw food on the floor, and played tricks on every nanny that entered the house. One nanny lasted only 2 hours. The boys poured orange juice on her bag and filled her shoes with mud. Another nanny stayed 3 days before they locked her inside the bathroom and hid the key. A different one quit because the boys hacked into her phone and posted silly messages online. Every nanny had her own horror story, and Michael was running out of options. It wasn't just about the kids. Michael himself was difficult to work for. He was stressed, always busy, and had no patience for mistakes. If a nanny complained about the twins, Michael would simply fire her and call the agency for another. But soon agencies began to refuse him. His number was flagged. Nobody wanted to work for the man who went through 25 nannies in just 30 days. Michael sat in his massive office one night, staring at the fireplace, thinking to himself, maybe I should just give up. Maybe my kids will never change. But deep down, he knew he couldn't give up. He was their father. They needed him, and he needed anyone who could bring peace into that chaotic house. Let me ask you, if you were in Michael's shoes, would you keep hiring new people? Or would you try to raise the boys on your own, even if it felt impossible? Share your thoughts in the comments. It was on a rainy afternoon that Avery James entered the picture. She wasn't fancy like the other nannies. She didn't wear designer clothes or carry an expensive bag. In fact, she walked into the mansion with just a small backpack and an umbrella that looked older than she was. When Michael first saw her, he frowned. This one won't last a day, he thought. But something in her eyes stopped him. She didn't look nervous. She didn't look desperate. She just looked calm. The agency had told her the truth. 25 nannies had already failed. But instead of fear, Avery smiled when she heard it. Well, she said softly, I guess I'll be number 26, unless your boys decide they like me. Michael almost laughed. Nobody had ever said that before. But he didn't argue. He was too tired to argue. The twins, Owen and Eli, tested her on the very first day. They poured salt into her tea. They hid her shoes in the freezer. They even locked her outside in the rain. But Avery didn't shout. She didn't cry. She simply laughed and said, You boys are creative, but if you want to play tricks on me, you better be ready for my tricks too. That night, when they refused to eat dinner, Avery cooked pancakes instead of the fancy meals prepared by the chef. Not just normal pancakes. She shaped them into animals. Dragons, cats, and even a spaceship. The boys stared at the food, then laughed, and for the first time in weeks, they ate without complaint. Michael watched silently from the doorway, shocked. Nobody had been able to get his boys to eat without a fight. But Avery did it, and she did it without raising her voice. By the end of the first week, something strange was happening. The boys were still naughty, yes, but their laughter had changed. It wasn't the laughter of children trying to hurt someone. It was real, playful laughter. They followed Avery around the house, waiting for what she would do next. Michael couldn't believe his eyes. Could this woman really succeed where 25 others had failed? But it wasn't all smooth. The twins still pushed boundaries. One evening, they set off the fire alarm by burning toast in the oven. Smoke filled the kitchen, and the chef panicked. But Avery ran in, grabbed the fire extinguisher, and handled it like a professional. When the smoke cleared, she looked at the boys, who were giggling nervously, and said, "Well, that was dramatic. Now, who wants proper pancakes?" The boys laughed so hard that even Michael, who had rushed in wearing a suit, couldn't stop himself from smiling. In that moment, Michael realized something. This nanny wasn't like the others. She wasn't there just for a paycheck. She wasn't afraid of chaos. She embraced it, turned it into something positive. But Michael didn't fully trust her yet. He kept his distance, watching her closely. He didn't want to believe in hope too quickly, not after so many failures. Still, there was something about Avery that unsettled him. She wasn't just changing the boys. She was changing him too. At this point, let me ask you, do you think Avery will succeed in this house? Or will she also give up like the others? Drop your guess in the comments before we continue. The twins were slowly changing, but they were still children full of mischief. Some days were good, other days were wild. One afternoon, Avery discovered paint on the living room walls. Bright red, blue, and green handprints stretched from one corner to the other. Instead of shouting, she folded her arms and said calmly, "Wow, looks like we have 2 new artists in the house. But real artists don't leave their work unfinished. Come on, let's clean it together." The boys groaned but followed her. By the time the wall was clean, they were laughing again. Avery had turned punishment into teamwork. Michael stood in the hallway watching everything. Each time he expected her to fail. But she didn't. She was patient, even when things were messy. Yet something troubled him. He was starting to notice Avery more than he wanted to. The way she smiled when the boys told jokes. The way her laughter filled the cold mansion with warmth. The way she looked at him sometimes not like a billionaire, but like a man. Michael shook the thought away. She was just a nanny, nothing more. But deep inside, he knew something was changing. One evening, Avery sat with the boys in the library. They had been asking about their mother, who had left months ago. "Why did she go?" Owen whispered. "Was it because we were bad?" Eli asked. The questions cut through Avery's heart. She took a deep breath and held their hands. "No," she said softly. "It wasn't because of you. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that children can't control. But listen to me carefully. Her leaving doesn't mean you aren't loved. You are loved. Deeply." The boys leaned against her, and Michael, who had been listening from the doorway, felt his chest tighten. No nanny had ever spoken to his children like that. Later that night, as Avery cleaned up, Michael asked her quietly, "How do you know exactly what to say to them?" She hesitated for a moment before answering. "Because I know what it feels like," she said. "My own mother left when I was small. I grew up thinking maybe I wasn't enough. It took me years to understand that her choice wasn't my fault." Michael was silent. Suddenly, Avery wasn't just a nanny. She was someone who understood pain, the same pain his boys were living through. Just when things were finally becoming peaceful, everything changed. One sunny afternoon, the doorbell rang. The butler opened it, and there she was, Heather Monroe, Michael's ex-wife and the mother of Owen and Eli. She walked in with expensive clothes, dark sunglasses, and a sweet smile that didn't reach her eyes. Behind her was a lawyer, carrying a briefcase full of documents. "My boys," Heather said dramatically, stretching out her arms. "Mommy's home." The twins froze. Instead of running into her arms, they stepped back. They remembered the nights they cried for her, the mornings she didn't come. Her sudden return wasn't the happy moment she expected. Michael's jaw tightened. "Why are you here, Heather?" he asked coldly. "I've come back for my children," she replied. "They belong with me. I'm their mother." Her lawyer cleared his throat and added, "We're prepared to discuss custody. Mr. Hartman, we believe it's in the best interest of the children." Michael's anger burned, but before he could speak, Avery stepped forward. She didn't shout. She didn't argue. She simply said, "The best interest of the children? Where were you when they cried at night? Where were you when they begged for answers?" Heather's smile cracked for a moment. She wasn't expecting Avery to speak. Over the next few days, the mansion was filled with tension. Heather kept visiting, bringing gifts and fake smiles, trying to win the boys' hearts. But children can see through lies. They avoided her, hiding behind Avery whenever she came too close. Then the truth came out. Avery, who had been quietly observing, discovered proof that Heather wasn't really interested in the children. She had been living a lavish life with another man overseas. She only came back because she was broke and wanted money from Michael by using the children as leverage. One evening, the boys accidentally overheard Heather on the phone, saying, "As soon as I get custody, I'll have access to the money. After that, they can stay with nannies for all I care." Owen and Eli recorded her words on a tablet. The next day, when Heather came again with her lawyer, the boys played the recording in front of everyone. Silence filled the mansion. Heather's face went pale. Michael turned to her, his voice like steel. "You abandoned them once, and now you come back for money. You will never hurt them again." The lawyer stammered, but the evidence was too strong. Within days, Michael's legal team filed for full custody. Heather's game was over. After Heather's final exit, peace slowly returned to the mansion. But this time it was different. The twins no longer hid behind pranks. They began to study, laugh, and dream again. Owen loved science, Eli loved music. And every night, they begged Avery to read them bedtime stories. One evening, after she tucked them in, Eli whispered, "Good night, Mom." Avery froze, tears filling her eyes. She wasn't their real mother, but in their hearts, she had become one. Downstairs, Michael was waiting. He looked at her with a mixture of gratitude and something deeper. "You didn't just save my children," he said softly. "You saved me too." For the first time in years, he reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. From that day forward, Avery was no longer just the nanny. She became family. This story teaches us something important. Money can hire people, but only love, patience, and kindness can heal broken hearts. Michael had all the wealth in the world, but it took Avery's courage and compassion to restore his family. If this story touched you, don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more powerful life lessons.